A beautiful beginning, my story asterisk asterisk. I was happy. My wife, Neka, stood by my side, smiling as our children played around us. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the sky with colors of orange and purple. Our home, made of mud walls with a thatched roof, felt warm and full of life. The sound of drums from a celebration echoed from the village square. This was a beautiful day. But it wasn't always like this. No, it was not always peaceful between Neka and me. There was a time when I couldn't stand her. We grew up in the same village, but I hated the very sight of her. Her voice, the way she walked, the way she looked at me, everything about her annoyed me. I thought she was proud, loud, and stubborn. She thought I was arrogant, rude, and selfish. We would argue every time our paths crossed. I would insult her and she would insult me back. It felt like we could never be in the same space without fighting. Then one day, the elders called us together. They had decided that, according to tradition, Neka and I would marry each other. I couldn't believe it. Me, married to her. How could they ask this of us? I refused. I will not marry her. I shouted to my father. But it didn't matter what I said. The decision had been made. The gods have spoken, my father said. The ancestors have chosen you both. There is no turning back. So, with no choice but to obey, I went through the traditional marriage ceremonies. The elders gave us kola nuts, and we exchanged vows under the shade of the sacred tree. Neko looked beautiful in her bridal attire, but I could still feel the heat of anger in my chest. The first days of our marriage were not easy. I still couldn't understand how she could be so stubborn, and she probably thought the same about me. We argued over small things like the way I kept the house or how I spoke to her. But over time, something began to change. Neka began to smile at me in the mornings, even when we had nothing to say. Slowly, I started to see her in a new light, not as the enemy, but as someone who shared my life, my struggles, and my dreams. Her laughter, the way she cared for the children, her gentle hands as she walked in the garden, these things began to touch my heart. One evening, after a long day of work, I saw Neka sitting under the tree, holding our firstborn child in her arms. She was singing a soft lullaby, and for the first time, I realized how much I had come to love her. She wasn't the same person I had hated. She was the woman who had become my partner, my friend, the mother of my children. Years passed, and our love grew stronger. We had more children, and our home became a place of joy. We learned to support each other through good and bad times. I began to see the strength in Neka, the same strength that I once hated, now the strength I admired. Our village accepted us. They saw how our marriage had brought us peace and happiness, even when we fought it at first. Now, when the village elders look at us, they smile, knowing that love can grow in the most unexpected places. I am no longer the angry young man who hated his wife. Today, I am a proud husband, father, and man of my village. Neka is my heart, my partner, and my home. This is how we lived, and still live, in happiness. The gods knew what they were doing when they brought us together, and now, I wouldn't have it any other way.